Plus here at Rupp Arena for the best basketball rivalry in the SEC, the Florida Gators and the Kentucky Wildcats, in the first of two regular season meetings between these two contenders here in the conference. Hi everybody and welcome to Lexington. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Maria Taylor will join us momentarily. This is going to be fun. Florida can shoot it. Florida's got some experience and they'll take on a Kentucky team, very talented, but the youngest team in the country.
Talk about young. This is the most inexperienced team that John Calipari has ever had, and he's had a number of different freshmen since he got to Lexington in 2010. This is the least experienced team in college basketball by minutes played, and one of the least experienced teams in the last 20 years in college basketball. The top 6 scorers for Kentucky are all first-year players, and this is just their, seventh SEC game?
That's right. Yep.
And it's really amazing. They're taking on a team. Discipline's going to be the issue. Can they guard the three-point line and run the Florida Gators off that line where they excel?
For more on tonight's matchup, let's send it to Marie.
Well, Dan, that young team is coming off of a loss to South Carolina on Tuesday, and Hamidou Diallo told me that it was like a punch in the face, and it was served by sloppy and selfish play. So there's no surprise that Coach Cal in shoot-around today told his team they have to be willing passers, and they have to not evaluate their own play until after this game is over. Now, one of their focuses will definitely be trying to make that extra pass. Meanwhile, the bright lights of Rupp Arena, Coach says, turns his team into a disengaged team, so they want to stay engaged. Chris Chiozza, though, telling me, guys, that he's never won in Rupp Arena, and that's one of his career milestones tonight.
Hi, Maria. Thank you. Kentucky in white, Florida in orange. Great vibe here in the house in Lexington. And as always, Florida and Kentucky figures to be a whole lot of fun. Anthony Jordan, Terry Oglesby, Byron Jarrett, our officials, and we are underway. A look at the Kentucky starting 5. We expect Quade Green to play tonight, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander began in the starting lineup at the point. Green just back from a back injury as the jumper by P.J. Washington around and out. For the Florida Gators, the guy with the ball in his hands right now is the key. They've got a lot of talented players, but Chris Chiozza is the head of the snake, or the head of the gator maybe. He's the guy who really makes everything go.
And Chiozza being guarded by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has been Kentucky's best player in SEC play.
Kayvon Allen, who had a big game midweek against Arkansas, 28 points, misses the 3.
Kentucky's length can really bother Florida, especially from the three-point line. If they can extend a hand and stay with three-point shooters, they can force this team into taking tough twos throughout the game. That's the difference between winning and losing in this game. How many tough twos versus open threes for Florida?
Nick Richards kicks it out. Gilgeous-Alexander, 5 on the shot clock. Ball screen Richards. Drive Gilgeous-Alexander, can't finish, Florida ball.
Gilgeous-Alexander had a chance to just explode to the bucket, didn't do it.
Florida can really shoot the 3. That's Keith Stone, 6'8", sophomore from Deerfield Beach, Florida, and he's 49% from beyond the arc coming into the game tonight.
He has been a huge difference for this Florida team, especially the last 5 or 6 games. Last 5 games, he's averaging 14 points, 6 boards. And can really stretch the floor as a big guy.
Florida 40% as a team from beyond the arc, and better than that in conference play. Baseline long floater, soft touch there for Kevin Knox.
Well, what a tough shot by Kevin Knox, who's the toughest matchup on this Kentucky roster. Last 3 games, almost 18 points a game.
If you look at the matchups on the floor right now, Jay, Kentucky has the taller, longer player at all 5 spots, and it'll be that way all night long. Chiozza with the drive.
Kentucky's taller and longer, but they can get spread out by this smaller and quicker team.
There's Allen, rejected by Richards. Stone got the shot off before the shot clock expired, and we get a foul underneath going against the Cats.
Boy, Florida didn't quit playing there. That was a great sequence for Florida at the end of the shot clock. And for Kulichov to get that foul because he didn't quit on the play.
Here's the significance of tonight's game. Auburn won. They just beat Georgia, so they join Florida at 5-1 atop the league. Kentucky and Alabama are both 4-2. Alabama is home to Mississippi State on the SEC network. That game starts in about 10 minutes, so you can see the significance of this game in the league standings.
Auburn, one of the more surprising teams in the country, without Austin Wiley and Daniel Purifoy, who were both suspended out for the season with that whole FBI investigation. There's Keith Stone again. To have your 5-man step out there, I guess he's technically a 4-man, stepping out there and stretching the floor like that, pulling these bigger and longer Kentucky big guys away from the basket. That's a significant difference in the other teams that Kentucky's been playing.
He now goes over 50% from three-point range on the season. Knox with a long 2, so it's Stone 6, Knox 4 in the early going here in Lexington. Chiozza stops on a dime, misses the jumper, and the rebound down to Knox.
Solid job there by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to make Chris Chiozza pull up. They don't want him getting into the lane and finding other people.
Knox feeling it early off the back of the iron, and down with a strong rebound in traffic is Kavarius Hayes, and he's got a big job on his hands tonight with all the big guys that he will see for Kentucky.
Well, Hayes did a great job of blocking out Nick Richards there and then going after that ball with 2 hands. That was impressive.
Hayes trying to get around Richards, and Richards with another rejection. Hamidou Diallo off to the races. Few in college basketball can go end-to-end with the ball as quickly as Hamidou Diallo can.
Well, and Kentucky's at its best when they are getting out in transition and doing something off defense. And after that block shot by Richards, that was able to take it the other way and really was the catalyst for that break.
Now a nice bounce pass inside and good patience underneath by Stone.
And a good ball fake, shot fake inside. You either have to go up quickly, Dan, or you've got to fake, because Kentucky's big guys will go for fakes. They will leave the floor.
And Stone is at his season average already, just over 4 minutes into the game. Florida coming off a win Wednesday at home against Arkansas. Kentucky coming off a loss Tuesday at South Carolina. Gilgeous-Alexander getting to the bucket.
Well, better job of attacking north-south. And as soon as he got a step of just exploding to the basket, because that's what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can do. Well, he has really done a great job of establishing himself as a leader for this team.
Another 3 for the Gators. This time, it's a long 2, forgive me. Foot on the line for Kayvon Allen. Florida back on top.
But Kayvon Allen had really been struggling before that 28-point outburst that he had against Arkansas. I think of the 4 games prior, he had only 17 points in those games combined. Then he explodes for 28.
Yeah, hit 6 threes in that game against the Razorbacks.
His home state team.
P.J. Washington, left hand no, tip no, and Kulichov the rebound for Florida.
That was tipped by Chris Chiozza to keep it alive.
Deep one for Chiozza, around and out on the 3, and out of bounds to the Gators. When do we come back? More Chiozza after the break. He's going 94 feet with Jay Bilas.
Hey, get it right,
Bilas. Sorry, Mr. Bilas.
Sub.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T and in part by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
"94 feet with Florida's Chris Chiozza. What is your favorite dessert?
Cheesecake.
How about the best player you've ever played against?
Kyrie Irving in his high school camp.
Who's your favorite player growing up?
Allen Iverson.
Did you play any other sports when you were younger?
Football and baseball.
What was your favorite sport among those?
Baseball was.
You a good player?
Yeah.
What position?
Shortstop.
Okay, when Coach White yells at you, what does he say most often?
Cut out all the hot sauce. I'm too flashy.
Okay, you only have one career highlight that can be shown the rest of your life. The game winner against Wisconsin in the NCAA tournament, or the steal against Missouri?
That's tough, but I got to go with the tournament shot. Wisconsin.
It was a winner, 94 feet.
A couple of incredible plays. That steal against Missouri was something else just a couple of weeks ago. Apparently he was quite a good baseball player and football player, but baseball was not the pace of sport he was looking for. And given his size, he was advised by family, maybe football's not quite for you. Whatever the reason behind the choice was, he chose the right sport.
If I had to pick one guard to have in the Southeastern Conference this year to play the season, you could have one guy running your team, it would be Chris Chiozza. Like, he may not be the best pro, what a great pass. That is a really difficult set, and the way Florida runs it in order to stop. They run different things out of the same alignment, so the alignment doesn't tell you what's coming. And just a nice back cut right past Hamidou Diallo, who doesn't stay between Kayvon Allen and the basket. And Mike White and his team ran through. They're going to run the same alignment right here, and they've got about 6 or 7 different things they can do out of it. Screen for the screener action. And it's really difficult to stop because the alignment doesn't tell you what's coming.
Allen guarded by Wenyen Gabriel, who's in off the bench for Kentucky. Sasha Kalia-Jones has checked in for the Cats as well.
Florida over the last several games has been going inside a little bit more, getting inside-out action, and that is available.
Shot clock at 6. Allen rises up for a 3 and knocks down with another rebound. It's been a very good start tonight for Kevin Knox. Gilgeous-Alexander driving and kicking.
Good job by Hayes to stay in front.
And everybody gets a touch on this possession for Kentucky. And it pays off for Gabriel.
Well, Gabriel got the ball down low with a mismatch, had a little guard on him. And whenever there's a double team, they call it fire. And the fire was a little late here. Got Kayvon Allen guarding Wenyen Gabriel. And Gabriel had 16 points, 9 rebounds against UCLA, and really brings a ton of energy into the game. And he plays hard. Energy is like a way of saying plays hard. He plays hard.
There's another guy who plays hard and is playing for just the second time for Kentucky this year. Jared Vanderbilt, who was out with a foot injury, missed the first 2.5 months of the season. Played 14 minutes Tuesday at South Carolina. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. A lot of Big Blue Nation has seen him. For those who haven't, Jay, what does Vanderbilt bring to the table?
Well, he is a very skilled player. He's left-handed. He can handle the ball like a point guard, an excellent passer. Not a great shooter, but a terrific athlete. And just watching him against South Carolina and watching him in practice, he's going to make a gigantic difference in this team. Can guard multiple positions and really provides John Calipari with another quality player out on the floor. Another young player that doesn't have any experience, but a quality player.
And he actually played 3-4 minutes at the point against South Carolina. Green didn't play in that game, and Gilgeous-Alexander and Diallo both had some foul trouble near the end of the first half.
Going right to him now.
Gabriel.
Walk. He got away with one there. That's a set they usually run for Kevin Knox, and instead of coming over the top of that little screen set by Gabriel, Vanderbilt went low, and Gabriel as the screener was the guy who was wide open.
A much bigger role for the team this year for Gabriel, and he is rising to the challenge. Jalen Hudson, the junior from Richmond, Virginia, the Virginia Tech transfer, ties the game with a 3.
Coming off the bench now, Jalen Hudson has to provide the most firepower off the bench of any player in the league. Comes in averaging 16 points per game. A guy can get you 35.
At 21 Wednesday against Arkansas.
Watch Wenyen Gabriel here. He's going to set a little screen down low, and this is after he caught the ball and just goes right into the chest of Keith Stone to draw that foul. Gabriel comes into the game because he plays so hard. The ball finds the most active players. And Wenyen Gabriel's an active player out there.
Michael Caru in off the bench right now for Florida. Looked like the Gators might have been in zone there when they had a bounce play, but Kentucky scored easily.
I'm not sure they knew what they were in because nobody had their hands ready, and this Florida team has had some challenges on the defensive end. They score like crazy, but in order to be an Elite 8 team again, if they want to do that, they're going to have to defend at a much higher level.
They scored 100 points or more 4 times in November. Had an amazing game, just a fascinating game. Double overtime win over Gonzaga at the PK 80 back in late November. Had Duke down by double figures late in the second half, but the Blue Devils came back to beat them. But then they hit a bit of a rough patch in early December, but they come into this game having won 7 of their last 8. Vanderbilt on the glass. And a foul at the other end.
The penetration by Kentucky is really a big factor in this game. Kentucky's getting a piece of the paint off the dribble. Look, you got 3 guys going after the ball and going after a blocked shot. And Kulichov, this is not a shot blocking team. And that opens up the offensive glass for Jared Vanderbilt. And that's one area where Kentucky can get some easy baskets. If they can beat Florida consistently off the dribble and put Florida into rotation, where it's going to show up most is on the offensive glass.
Couple of subs. Gilgeous-Alexander to the bench for Kentucky as Diallo returns. Quade Green is also in the game. Again, missed the last 3 games with a back injury. That's him with the ball right now. And for Florida, Dante Bassett, a 6'9" freshman from Oakland, has checked into the game. Florida is thin up front right now because of injuries, and they need some minutes out of Bassett tonight.
Hamidou Diallo is a good pull-up jump shooter. I think he needs to get that ball all the way to the rim on that last one.
Kalia-Jones fouls Hudson on a 3-point attempt. So Florida at the line when we come back. Good pace, good start. And this young Kentucky team leading Florida by 3. 11:54 to go, first half.
It's Rock Chalk versus freshman phenom
Trae Young is so far ahead of the pack.
in a Sonic blockbuster. Number 10 Kansas takes on number 4 Oklahoma Tuesday at 7 on ESPN.
A Sonic blockbuster as Kansas visits Norman to take on the Oklahoma Sooners on Tuesday. Trae Young today scored 48 points in an overtime loss to Oklahoma State. Now, he took 39 shots to get him, went 14 out of 39, did hit 8 threes, made all 12 of his free throws. Just carried Oklahoma at times offensively, but Oklahoma State gets the win. Kansas, which led, then trailed, came back to beat Baylor in a squeaker at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. And here's Trae Young. If you haven't seen him, you got to see him. It's pretty compelling stuff. But again, 39 shots to get the 48 points. Where are you on the number of shots, the amount of time the ball's in Trae Young's hands? Now, he's leading the country in assists. We should point out that, too. He's not a selfish kid by any stretch. But where are you just on the shot volume right now?
Well, it's clearly not appropriate for winning basketball. And one of the things that I don't think we're talking about enough with Trae Young, like, he's a spectacular player. He's just a freshman, so he's going to get better and better. And Lon Kruger's going to help him figure it out. But he had 7 turnovers in the game today, but that wasn't the final number of turnovers. He took at least a dozen bad shots. So the truth is he had about 19 turnovers. Now, other players have more turnovers because of the bad shots they take. But he took a number. He's been taking a number of bad shots, and that puts his team at a severe disadvantage with the shots he takes, because it puts their defense at a disadvantage.
In your opinion, more bad shots than he was taking earlier in the season?
Yes. And it's ratcheted up. Like the number, he's getting defended differently, and people are starting to go after him. They're starting to figure him out a little bit. And look, he's going to score a ton of points because he's the real deal. But he's got to be more selective and smarter with the shots that he takes.
Big win for the Cowboys. They hit a late 3 to get into overtime and to beat Oklahoma 83-81. The Sooners lose twice this week. 3 top 10 teams lost 2 games this week. Oklahoma, Wichita State, Texas Tech.
A number of those losses coming on the road. It seems like it's more difficult. It's always difficult to win on the road. Great cut and pass. That was a dribble at action. Kayvon Allen dribbling at the corner guy, Jalen Hudson, and he just took off. Anytime you are guarding somebody that the ball is being dribbled at, you have to be sure. It may be a dribble handoff, sure, but it's also a backdoor. You have to force him into the handoff action.
Green can't get the shot up over Akaru. Knox traveled, shuffled the feet before he put the ball down.
Now watch Kayvon Allen as he dribbles right at Jalen Hudson. Hudson just goes right back door and makes a really hard cut. Kevin Knox opens up and it's all over because Nick Richards is up guarding Bassett. There's no help there. That was a beautifully executed backdoor cut against the pressure.
Florida will score. They average 82 points per game.
Now, one thing, if you're Kentucky, you don't want to get too worried about getting backdoored. That's what you want to worry about, is a 3-point shot. So if nobody is going to backdoor you all night. What they can do is hit 3 after 3. Those backdoors are to soften you up so that you're more worried about that instead of guarding the 3-point line, which is way more important against Florida.
Florida's hit 15 threes twice this year, 17 threes twice this year.
Yeah, that's 17 threes against Texas A&M in College Station a week or 10 days ago, whatever it was.
Kickball. Florida shoots the 3 very well, and Kentucky has defended the 3 very well this season.
Kentucky's 3-point defense, because as you mentioned, they have length and athleticism, is top 5 in the country. Leads the Southeastern Conference, but top 5 in the country.
Gilgeous-Alexander can't hit the long 2, and Kulichov down with a rebound. He's a great rebounder for his size, almost 8 per game. And when Florida goes small, he plays the 4 sometimes, and that's where he's at right now in this alignment.
When do they not go small? They're small all the time.
And a travel committed by Allen.
That's one of the problems with John Egbunu not available because of injury. Florida is much smaller this year than the Gators were last year.
That's what makes it such an interesting matchup. Rivalry and history between them aside, how different the two teams line up and how differently they need to do things well to win basketball games. Washington gets the bounce.
It's too easy right now for Kentucky to get the ball right into the middle of the lane. Like, Florida's got to get down in the stance and stay in front of the ball, keep it out of the lane, angle it out. Because if Kentucky gets this many paint touches, the Wildcats are going to get a lot of easy shots and they can shoot a lot of free throws.
Allen, and a block by Washington. There's that length of the Wildcats coming into play.
Ball didn't move at all for Florida, which is usually a strength of theirs.
Gabriel. Great offensive rebound by Richards, but he steps out of bounds. Well, Jay, some recruiting news today. He announced it live on ESPN2 just a little while ago. A lot of people thought Zion Williamson might be headed to Clemson, but he is going to Duke, and he joins what is already a sensational recruiting class for the Blue Devils next year.
I can't remember a time where a school had the top 3 recruits in a recruiting class. You know, R.J. Barrett out of Canada, the #1 recruit in the country, Zion Williamson #2, and Cam Reddish #3. That's amazing.
Yep. And I think it surprised a lot of people. A lot of folks thought he might stay home in South Carolina. He's from Spartanburg, and Clemson appeared to be generating a lot of noise about whether or not he would be joining their program, but he's going to Durham. Chiozza picked up his dribble in a tough spot, and a shot clock violation on the Gators.
Boy, Kentucky has defended Florida very well.
And the crowd's appreciating it.
Forcing him into tough twos, and then they're making Chris Chiozza finish, not letting him search and find open people. And Chiozza was going to have to drive by a bigger defender and try to do something at the rim, which at his size is not a strength, especially against this length and athleticism of this young Kentucky team.
Knocks a deep 3.
It's surprising Kentucky didn't send more people to the offensive glass.
Wow, and nobody can stop Chiozza as he brings the Gators back within 1.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, you didn't have anybody in the offensive glass to kind of battle for the ball, slow the advance. There were 4 defensive rebounders there for Florida, and they got a run out as a result of it.
And a reach and foul committed by Chiozza. Well, he went 94 feet with you earlier today. He went 94 feet a little bit quicker here right now.
Yeah, this is a lot faster, and I certainly could have kept up with him if he wanted to do it this way. But, you know, it was just a television thing.
You wouldn't even have been in the picture from the above the rim camera. You wouldn't have gotten over half court.
You know, think about what Chris Chiozza has done in his career. He had a triple-double off the bench last year against Missouri. Off the bench. And then he makes that game-winning shot in the NCAA tournament against Wisconsin. And then this year, a game winner against Missouri on a steal.
And the game against Gonzaga, 26 points, 10 assists, played 46 minutes in the double overtime win, hit the floor hard on a tip dunk attempt in second overtime, bruised a rib, stayed in the game, and then played the next night against Duke. That performance against Gonzaga is one of the better performances anybody's had in college basketball this year. Washington, no.
Officials are missing some contact here.
There was all kinds of holding and shoving.
I don't know if they got an early flight later on.
Got to be a tie-up eventually, and it finally is.
We had one block, one charge, uncalled.
Timeout on the floor to sort it out. It's Florida. It's Kentucky. It's Rupp Arena, and it's a good one. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Maria Taylor, the game day gang. Everybody's here but Rupp to watch Florida and Kentucky.
Well, Kentucky 10 of 22 from the field in large measure because the Wildcats have gotten the ball inside. Off the screen, the screener, Wenyen Gabriel, turns into the scorer because he looked for the ball. And P.J. Washington off the throw behind, putting the ball on the deck and getting right near the basket. But, Dan, Florida's only down 1. And Kayvon Allen's 1 of 6 from the field. He's only got 2 points. Chris Chiozza 1 of 3 from the field. He's only got 2 points. Igor Kulichov has not scored yet. He's 0 for 2. If Florida starts knocking down a couple shots, then all of a sudden this game could take on a different tenor, even as well as Kentucky's played on the defensive end.
Let's go to Maria, who's got more.
Coach Cal in the last huddle telling his team, hey, we need to feed the post again, and specifically Jared Vanderbilt right now as he checks back into this game. And Mike White has his concerns with post defense, saying that they're not coming over with a double quick enough.
Battle for the ball there between Vanderbilt and Hayes. And yeah, you think Kentucky would try to force the ball in just about every time down the floor because they've got so much size on Florida.
Well, the ball goes inside for Kentucky based upon set plays. And they run a little kind of short pin down. Boy, that's a good pass right there. Bad
Ballard
shot,
misses
but a good
the three.
pass.
Vanderbilt high off the top of the backboard and in.
You really have to practice that shot a lot. A lot of people don't know how to play the angle of how the top of the backboard curves over to the front of the backboard. You can see how athletic he is.
Yeah, don't play a game of horse with that guy. And now here he is on a switch guarding the point guard, Chiozza. And he's working hard to stay with him. Turnover. Nice look ahead, Diallo to Green. Got it. Big Blue Nation on its feet here, but Rupp, the Cats lead by 5.
Too much dribbling, not enough passing for Florida. The ball is stuck.
Shot clock running down. Diallo with a rebound, and he's pushing it.
Those are some bad offensive possessions for Florida. The ball has to move from side to side and get some cutters. Everything that Florida's trying to do is off the dribble before they make the defense move.
Deep one for Kulichov.
That's just a bad shot. Florida's taking a lot of bad ones right now because there is zero movement. Absolutely zero. Time of possession has been in favor of Kentucky. Kentucky's making Florida guard longer stretches. And Kentucky's really moving the ball.
Green lobs it up for Kalia Jones, and somehow he taps it home.
Well, Maria Taylor just told us that John Calipari wants to get the ball inside. We were thinking post-ups, but with this smaller Florida team, Kentucky knows they can go over the top. Little screen roll. Kulichov doesn't get there to stop that roll. A controlled tip.
And the sophomore from Chapel Hill fired up about it as he heads to the free throw line. And a three-point play to extend the lead to 8. Richards back in for Kalia Jones.
Kentucky's defense has been excellent. The Wildcats have done a great job in the half court against Florida. But if you look at this with any measure of Florida's perspective, Florida has handled this really poorly.
And fortunate to maybe be only down 8, now 6, 28-22 after the bucket by Chiozza.
I think Florida's really fortunate to only be down 2 scores here. Or 2 possessions, I should say.
Gabriel posting on Hudson. Nice kick to Diallo.
That was a heck of a block out and two-handed rebound again by Kavarius Hayes.
Chiozza driving off to Hayes, who will slam it home.
But Kentucky did not pick up the ball, didn't stop the ball. And that allowed Chris Chiozza to get deep into the paint along the baseline.
And John Calipari is going to cross the half-court line just about to talk to Nick Richards and walk him all the way back to the huddle with a lecture. Timeout Kentucky. Florida back within 4.
Do you get academic credit for that lecture?
.423 to go in the first half here with Rupp, and that means not too far away from the Alfa Romeo halftime report, which comes to you live from the court here in Lexington. Reese Davis, Seth Greenberg, Jay Will all be on there. They'll be talking Trae Young, they'll be talking Zion Williamson, and Maria's got a preview with Jay Will and the coach.
That's right, Dan. And I think you wanted to talk a little bit about Zion. Duke got a pretty good get today, huh?
Yeah, well, Jay Bill said you get 1, 2, 3, and then you get a top point guard nation in Trey Jones. Coach K has done it once again with the help of Jeff Capel.
All right, what have you seen so far in this game, though, Coach?
I'm Kentucky. I've guarded the ball. I've kept basically Florida out of transition. I've gotten the ball inside. They've got to continue to get the ball inside, and they can't help off Chiozza. Stay home and run them off the three-point line, make Chiozza score them.
You're talking like you coach Kentucky right now. I kind of like it.
With the fist and everything, guys.
Hey, you want my opinion? I'll give you my opinion. And Billis, I don't want anything out of you.
You'll have plenty more of their opinions a little bit later at halftime, guys.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What? I thought Jay Will looks. Doesn't he look great? Well, that was a walk. Doesn't he look great? The tie is terrific. Of course, it's my tie. He stole my tie because Jay Will
Forgot mine.
packs like a toddler and didn't bring his own tie. Now, does he run to a local haberdashery here in Lexington, Kentucky with all the fine men's stores they have? No. He runs to me and steals one of my ties. Chances of me getting that tie back, 0.0.
Because he returns things like a toddler as well. We're all getting, just so you know, Jay Will, we're all getting emergency texts at 8 o'clock this morning. Do you have an extra tie for Jay Will? Hudson drives into traffic and draws the foul.
So far, Kentucky in this ball game, to Seth Greenberg's point, 22 points in the paint. They've got 6 points off of 4 Florida turnovers, and Florida only turns the ball over 9-10 times a game. One of the most efficient teams with ball security in the country. But I think it bodes pretty well for Florida that they're in good shape here as far as they're only down a couple of possessions right now with a chance to cut it to one possession after that missed free throw because they haven't hit anything from the field.
Vanderbilt his second foul, so Knox back in for him. And it's a 3-point game. Florida 5-1 in the league. Kentucky is 4-2. Auburn is tied with Florida at 4-1. And Alabama, which is currently playing Mississippi State over in the SEC network, they are tied with Kentucky at 4-2.
See, I'd post Kevin Knox here. He's got Jalen Hudson on him.
Washington probably the most comfortable down in the post for the Wildcats, but he turns it over. Coming up tonight after UCLA Oregon, which follows this game, tune in for SportsCenter. They'll tell you what we learned from the clash between the Warriors and the Rockets, top moments from a busy college hoop Saturday, and as we told you, Zion Williamson, the second-ranked incoming recruit next year, made his choice today, and he'll be a Duke Blue Devil. More on that coming up on SportsCenter later tonight.
P.J. Washington, when he got the ball in the post on that last possession, just wasn't decisive.
Lob inside. Hayes with a chance to tie the game.
Well, Florida has been a different team after that last time out. You know, playing with a little more pace, and it's just a couple of different possessions, but a little pick and roll, not picked up. They lifted everybody up, so there's nobody there to tag the roll man. Just an excellent job. And you have to get a hand up on Chris Chiozza and use your length there to discourage that pass or at least redirect it.
Missed free throw. Still a 7-0 run for the Gators. They're down by 1.
Really important last 3:20 of this first half. Who's going to be able to move this out? A poor pass by Wenyen Gabriel.
Stone deflected it away, and the Gators come up with it now with a chance to take the lead. And Hudson will miss the driving layup, and it winds up in the hands of the Wildcats, but only briefly.
After a really good challenge by Wenyen Gabriel to save a bucket, this young Kentucky team coughs the ball up.
They've now turned it over on 4 straight possessions.
See, and that was a really good job defensively by Kentucky because on the drive by Chiozza, they didn't foul and they forced him to finish the play. And being smaller in there, could he finish it? Yeah, but that's a tough finish. That's a tough 2 that they're making him take, instead of letting him drive in and find a 3-point shooter spotting up.
Green for 3. Boy, Knox just threw Kayvon Allen out of the way to get in on that rebound and eventually gets called for a foul in a whole different situation.
But he brought it down, and who was there? Chris Chiozza, because he sticks his nose in there and rebounds. He didn't go after it up top, but watch when the ball is brought down here. Ball's brought down, Chiozza's got it, and it looked like he pushed him, didn't really, but got a foul there on Kevin Knox.
And that's the second on Knox, so he'll go to the bench for the last 2:19 of the half. And Chiozza to the line with a chance to give Florida the lead. Well, what a great day of college basketball. Started early at noon Eastern today. Games all day on all the networks. Primetime game here at Rupp Arena. And after us tonight, it'll be UCLA and Oregon. And if only the big redhead could have some fun. He's up there with the band.
I love my drums. I love Oregon. I love the tall pines and the rain and the Conference of Champions. Did I ever mention to you, Dave? It is Dave, isn't it? I used to play for John Wooden.
You know what?
The Wizard of Westwood.
If he were ever under the weather, you might be able to fill in.
Digger Phelps ruined my life. And I got news for Walton. Digger Phelps ruined all of our lives.
Florida on a 9-0 run.
Whatever Florida had the first 17 minutes of the first half offensively, Kentucky in the last couple possessions has caught it, just going off of no passes.
And unable to finish inside is Bassett, and then he commits the foul.
That last drive by Quade Green, it didn't make the defense move at all. And Kentucky had moved the ball so well the first 17 minutes of the first half or so. I think John Calipari's telling you can't drive it into a set defense. Move the ball and then do it.
At the line for the Cats, Hamidou Diallo, who's had some big games for Kentucky this year, but recently much more up and down. Hasn't scored the ball as consistently as he did a little bit earlier in the season. Both of these teams can have any one of a number of, say, 5 or 6 different guys be their leading scorer on any given night.
Well, for Kentucky, some of the leading scoring they've had has been because of inconsistency of other guys. And you have to expect with so many freshmen and your top 6 scorers being freshmen, there'll be some inconsistency. But your point about Diallo is a good one. I mean, in SEC play, he's averaging about 9 points a game. But overall, he's still the Wildcats' second leading scorer. He was really good against Texas A&M at 18 points, got out in transition. It was not a very good play by Wenyen Gabriel.
And he gets called for the foul. So Chiozza is going to get more free throws. And John Calipari doesn't like that call one bit.
Well, he was on his back there. There's no question. That was a good call. The referee was right on the right angle to see it.
Second on Gabriel.
And then you're sending an excellent free throw shooter to the line.
That's Kulichov at the line. So Kulichov, who's been a terrific player for Florida this year. He's a grad transfer, a fifth-year senior. His first year was at Arizona State and transferred to Rice, was an All-Conference USA player last year, better than 18 points per game, and now he comes to Florida as a grad transfer, 15 points and 7 rebounds per game.
And Kulichov, one of the reasons you don't like that foul, you don't want to walk the 94 feet and give up free throws. I get that. But you don't want to let a great shooter see the ball go through the net when he's not been seeing it go through the net, in 5-on-5. And now, you can establish a little bit of rhythm at the free throw line.
Those are his first 2 points of the night. Now he's trying to defend Washington down on the block. Weak side follow not there for Diallo. Out of bounds. Kentucky ball. 6 on the shot clock.
And Florida not there for a double team, and a little surprised that P.J. Washington didn't finish that. That was about as easy of a shot as he's going to get.
Pull up, Gilgeous-Alexander in and out.
How about that rebound by Chiozza? Grabbed it with his left hand and cupped it with one hand.
Allen for 3. And Richards corrals the loose ball for the Wildcats.
So he didn't make it, but that was a good shot by Kayvon Allen. That's a step-in three-point shot that you'd have to work awfully hard to get in your 5-on-5 set. And Kentucky has been really poor the last 3 minutes of the first half.
Stone comes up with a steal. Hudson for 3. And Richards with another rebound. Both teams cold here in the last couple of minutes in a pretty low-scoring first half.
And as poorly as Florida has played offensively, the Gators have a 2-point lead.
Richards posting. And a foul. I think it's going to be Kulichov. No, it'll be Stone who gets called for the foul for the Gators.
A little surprising. Thought it was a walk because Stone was right there on the double team, and Richard went right into his chest.
Richards, the freshman from Kingston, Jamaica, coming off a double-figure scoring game Tuesday in South Carolina, 12 points. First game in about 5 weeks that he was in double figures. A game that Kentucky looked like, Jay, they were going to cruise to victory. They were up 14 with 11.5 minutes left in the second half, and the Gamecocks outscored them 33-11 to close the game.
Yeah, fouls, bad lineups, a lot of difficulties on the road for Kentucky. You mentioned Nick Richards in his double-figure game with 12 points against South Carolina. Earlier in the year, Richards had 25 points and 15 rebounds against Fort Wayne. Now, look, I know that's not an SEC game, but the last guys under Calipari to have 25 and 15 in a game were Boogie Cousins and Terrence Jones. Wow. That's a pretty good list of players to be on.
Timeout. We're back in 30. The Hall of Famer John Calipari is fired up. He says he loves this team, but even by his standards, this is the youngest team he's ever had, the most teaching he's ever had to do. You know, last week or a couple of weeks ago when we were here, he was talking about toughness. They have to get tougher. The narrative this week from Coach Cal was just go out there and have fun. Just play the game. Play with energy. Remember why you're here. He's still trying to get a feel for this team, and February's not far away.
Well, the have fun part, having fun, I used to have a baseball coach that said having fun is doing hard things well. And he wants his team to have fun by doing those hard things and doing them together. And doing it together can be the hardest thing for a young team, because oftentimes as a young player, you're thinking about yourself and what you're supposed to do. Here comes a run and jump.
6 on the shot clock. Allen sees it. Stutter step, floater, in and out, and back in again.
Kentucky needs to get the ball up court quickly.
Chioza nearly picked it off. Diallo off balance. Can't get it up to the rim, and Florida, which struggled so much for such a big part of the first half, will go to halftime with a 2-point lead on the road here in Lexington on the strength of a 13-3 run to close the half. The Cats with such a remarkable record at home under John Calipari, but Florida up by 2 at halftime here in Lexington, leading 33-31. Coach Cal is with Maria.
What's your biggest concern right now, Coach?
I like that we're moving the ball. My concern is we got guys settling for jump shots when they can't stop us near the basket. The foul trouble kind of got us out of whack, but we're going to be all right.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Maria, thank you. Thanks, Coach Cal. Halftime here in Lexington, Florida 33, Kentucky 31. When we come back, the Alfa Romeo halftime report. Great day in college hoops. And Reese, Jay, and Seth will get you all caught up after this break. Welcome back to Saturday Primetime, presented by AT&T. A very close first half, not always the most well-played first half. Both teams had some droughts. A very close game with Florida leading Kentucky by 2 going to the second half here at Rupp Arena. The Young Cats looking for a big win. The Gators on the road looking for a significant win over a ranked team. Florida by 2, and they are leading by 2 because they closed the first half on a 13-3 run. Until about the last 3 minutes of the half, Kentucky was clearly the better team.
Well, Kentucky was the better team on the defensive end, and what Kentucky did a great job of is they ran Florida off the three-point line. They didn't give them open threes. They only had one. They were 1 of 3 on open three-point shots. Pretty good for Kentucky, and Kentucky forced them into contested twos. 4 of 15 for Florida on contested twos. But what Kentucky's biggest problem is the last 4 minutes of the first half. Their offense just stopped, totally shut off, didn't move the ball, didn't get inside, didn't go from side to side and then attack, which had been Florida's problem for much of the half. Florida, if they can play the way they did the last 4 minutes of the first half, it's advantage Gators. But Kentucky's going to have to totally turn it around offensively from what they did the last 4 minutes.
Let's get a report now from Maria.
Well, Dan, Mike White says that his Florida team made a difference in that 13-3 run by taking really good shots. He felt like when the game started, they were taking ill-advised shots, and that was resulting in a Kentucky run-out. Now, he did say they defended the three-point line well, as Jay mentioned, making Kentucky go 0 for 6, but he wants his team to get cleaner looks here in the second half.
One change in the starting lineup for Kentucky. going to the second half. Instead of P.J. Washington, it is Jared of Vanderbilt. They're going right to him in the post. Kick to Knox for 3. And the follow by Richards.
Just getting the ball inside to Vanderbilt, who's an excellent passer. He's got point guard skills. That makes the defense contract a little bit. You can kick it out, and that inside-out action was really helpful to Kentucky.
From what you know of Vanderbilt, as his stamina improves, as he gets more and more in game shape, will the minutes increase, and by the end of the season, do you think he'll be one of the most important players on this team?
When he gets in better game shape, I don't think John Calipari is going to be able to take him out. That's how good I think he is. Like, look what he just did. You know, after Igor Kulichev took a really bad shot. I mean, it's a shot he can make, but why would you take a contested shot on your first possession? But Vanderbilt got the ball and with a great deal of energy pushed it up the court and passed ahead. And they wound up turning the ball over, but it was a really well done break.
Boy, Chiozza gets all the way to the glass and puts the Gators back on top.
Florida's the older team. They're on the road. They have to be patient. And you have to make this Kentucky defense break down. It's not going to break down on its own.
Gilgeous-Alexander returns the favor at the other end. And boy, he's not the quickest guy. He's a big point guard at 6'6", but he's got a knack for getting where he wants to get.
Plays with good pace. He's got a nice hesitation move, long. I just love the way he established himself first as a defender and then became a really good offensive player.
Stone with a shot fake drive and a reverse layup.
Boy, Kentucky not very alert on help side. Shot blockers not there on the drive. When you can drive all the way from the corner and you've got that kind of length and athleticism, not challenging, that's not a good sign.
Floater not there for Vanderbilt. He's a lefty, went up with a right hand right there. Nick Richards is going to stay down here. Into the foul going against the Gators. And it is. It'll be on Stone. He's going to come out, and they will go small right now. Third on Stone. Jalen Hudson into the game for the Gators, and now Kulichev again, who's a 6'5" guard, in effect playing the 4. A little contact on that drive. It looked like that ball was touched when it was up on the rim. No call, and out come the Gators with numbers. Chiozza with an up and under.
What a finish. And he got limping as he goes back. Chris Chiozza thought he got hit on the head as he used the rim to shield off the shot block. Maybe he's cramping up. Yeah. He's holding that left calf.
And noticeably affected by it. Gilgeous-Alexander with a lob to Richards. Mike White with a close eye on his point guard right now is trying to work it out and getting some help as Allen brings the ball up.
One thing he's not worried about is the toughness. Now, looks like a little 2-3 zone now by Kentucky.
Something that John Calipari's used a lot more with this group than he generally has in the past. Both their youth and their length contributing to that. Nice pass inside, knocked away from Kulichev. Still plenty of time. And a good look for Hudson. Count it.
What a pass off the broken play.
And Chiozza still affected by whatever happened to his left leg, still reaching down.
Well, I'm sure it has bothered some, but I don't think that's going to bother his competitiveness. But I would go right at him because he's not able to turn that corner, get over the screen.
An air ball on a 3 by Diallo. Chiozza, by the way, with 7 assists already in this game.
He doesn't have more than 1 turnover, I don't think. He's been very efficient.
Kulichev, deep one and way off.
Well, it is feast or famine with Igor Kulichev. Not sure I understand why he took that shot. He may have been open, but he's open because he's so deep.
Richards with an advantage in the post, can't capitalize.
Tavarius Hayes is going after blocked shots, and that is opening up some offensive rebounding opportunities for Kentucky. They just haven't capitalized the last couple of opportunities. Back to man-to-man. Kentucky able to switch 1 through 4.
Hudson for 3. Tip back out by Kulichev. Chiozza for 3. And down with it, Gilgeous-Alexander. Well, now it's Kentucky who might be fortunate that that Florida's not hitting the number of threes they normally do. Because Florida can run you out of the gym with threes when they're hot. Allen will knock down a deep one, and the lead grows to 8.
Kentucky has been settling, even when Jared Vanderbilt just got the ball. He's tired. Jared Vanderbilt's tired right now. He didn't take the ball to the basket. He took the short little jumper and short-armed it. And that's where not being in game shape hurts him.
A run for the Gators to win the first half. A run for the Gators to start the second half. Chiozza with a layup, dealing with an injury right now. Florida up by 8.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Spend your life living.
Working on Chris Chiozza over on the Florida bench. Perhaps just a cramp in that left calf, but it looks like he is out of the game at the moment. Florida's extended the lead to 8 here in the second half. And these two programs over the last 12-13 years have absolutely dominated the league, including one tie for a regular season title. The two programs have combined for 9. They've combined for 8 of the last 12 SEC tournament titles, and they've both been very well represented in the Final Four during that stretch as well. The SEC is a really good league this year. It's a deep league. Auburn's off to a great start. They're 5-1 in the league. Alabama is off to a good start. Picked up a big win over Auburn without Colin Sexton during the week. And even the bottom of the league, Jay, can jump up and bite you. Everybody in the SEC has at least 2 wins in the conference already.
It's a balanced league, and I agree with you. It's a deep league and a much improved league. But do you see a team in this league that's better than the 4 seed in the NCAA tournament?
Not now,
right now.
But I think I think either of these two teams could improve in the next 6 weeks or so to get there, but not right now. I would agree with you. Under 16 media timeout here in Lexington.
Anybody have any aspirin? Aspirin. My kingdom for an aspirin.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Travelocity. Wander wisely.
And an 8 Saturday prime, unless the Travelocity gnome is along for the ride. And he's happy to be here at Rupp Arena tonight, watching the Gators and the Wildcats with Florida up 8 on the road here in Lexington. Let's take a look now at how Florida fares on the road, presented by Travelocity. Just 9-51 all-time here at Rupp Arena. Their last 3 wins here at Rupp were in years they went to the Final Four. Unranked Florida teams just 3-24 on the road against ranked Kentucky teams. And Kentucky, conversely, Jay, they've won their last 54 at home against unranked opponents. And Florida's not ranked right now. They have been for much of the season, but are not currently ranked right now. Chiozza's back in the game. Maria's got more.
Yeah, he's definitely cramping in that left calf, so he got a massage while he was on the bench. They also added a patch to the back of it, but of course he's an Iron Man. He's going to work through it. He's already playing with the Black Eye guys.
Yeah, we talked about the toughness that he has shown, battling through various ailments and injuries this year. Boy, one that Hayes wishes he had back.
Boy, what a beautiful pass by Chris Chiozza. And Hayes with a shot fake, but just couldn't finish.
Jay, where does the spark come from offensively for Kentucky?
Well, it's got to come. They've got to move the ball. It's got to come from a number of different places. I mean, I think the best offensive player right on the court right now is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander,
who finds P.J. Washington.
Kentucky right now, that's the 30th point in the paint for the Wildcats, but Kentucky has not been able to get to the free throw line. And the Wildcats have to keep attacking the paint where they have an advantage.
Crowd thought the Gators got away with the travel. Kulichov, an open look. For Kentucky, 9 players have played. All 9 have scored, but nobody has more than 7 points in the game right now for the Cats.
And 7 is Wenyen Gabriel coming off the bench, got it all in the first half of the walk.
Talia Jones just kind of stumbling backwards.
Kentucky in the middle of the floor, when they've set a ball screen and have rolled, they've gotten some really good things just by throwing the ball up, because every defender for Florida is going to the ball and they're not picking up the roll man. And that has been the most effective offense for Kentucky, is that middle of the floor slot screen and roll.
Allen pulls up for 3. And Gabriel and Hayes wrestling for it. The arrow will keep it at this end of the floor with the Gators. Tuesday at 7 Eastern here on ESPN. It's a Big 12 Sonic blockbuster. Freshman sensation Trae Young, who had 48 in an overtime loss to Oklahoma State today. They'll take on the Kansas Jayhawks, who turned defeat into victory in the closing seconds at the Phog today against Baylor. Of course, Kansas is vying for its 14th consecutive Big 12 regular season title. And Kansas, with that win, you had them in Morgantown, that tremendous win for Kansas to come back and to beat West Virginia. Don't look now, but the Jayhawks are alone on top of the standings.
Well, it's going to be volatile going down the stretch because you're going to see teams up at the top. They're going to continue to get knocked around because nobody's got. I thought it was West Virginia that could separate. I'm not sure anybody in that league is going to really separate.
You know, it's amazing. Just like the SEC, everybody's got a loss in the league, and everybody's got at least 2 wins in the league.
Well, Florida has been wearing out Kentucky on out of bounds underneath. Didn't score, but had a great opportunity to score. And Kentucky very fortunate they got out of that without giving up any points because Kavarius Hayes missed both those free throws.
As we've talked about, Kentucky's got length and size at every spot over Florida, but they don't have that many guys comfortable posting up. They're more comfortable just going to the glass, like Kalia Jones did right there. But would you say P.J. Washington their best pure post player?
He or Kevin Knox probably, yeah. And I think if healthy, I would put Jared Vanderbilt in there.
Yeah.
But you're right, they don't have a back-to-the-back player that's got, tremendous post moves. But they've got guys that can get to the rim and finish.
And they've got the crowd back into it.
What a play.
Terrific save there by Allen.
Boy, what a play by Kayvon Allen.
Chiozza for 3.
Not a good shot.
It's not just the distance of the threes, it's how early in the clock so many of them have come.
It's not. See, I don't think it's that as much as it is you're taking it and it's challenged. I mean, you got a long defender right in your grill. You haven't made the defense move at all.
Gilgeous Alexander misses the mid-range jumper, and Kulichov. And a tie-up as Gabriel got in there and gets Kentucky the ball back. The arrow going to the Cats.
So Kentucky is bigger and longer. They've got nothing but guys with 7'2", 7'3" wingspans. So it's going to require all 5 orange uniforms to be on the defensive glass if you want to get a rebound against these bigger, taller, more athletic Kentucky Wildcats, even though they're younger.
Green, followed by Kalia Jones. And again, as you mentioned on a few occasions tonight, the Gators going to block the shot and leaving the glass unattended. And Mike White wants to talk it over. Big game in the SEC, Florida and Kentucky. And the crowd is right back into it on the heels of this 6-0 run by the Wildcats. Gators up by 2. And it's time for the Big 12 SEC Challenge, and here are a couple of the highlighted games. Texas A&M, which picked up a much-needed win today. They will be at Kansas, and then these young Kentucky Wildcats are headed to one of the toughest environments in college basketball, Morgantown, West Virginia, to take on the Mountaineers. Game day will be there, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 week from tonight. Seth Greenberg as Florida coach Mike White.
Mike, 3 4-minute games left. What are you going to try to get done in the next 4 minutes?
We've got to move the ball a little bit better. We missed a couple blockouts there. We've got to load to the basketball better. We had a guard-to-guard ball screen. It should have been a natural switch. We just got to communicate better.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Third season in Gainesville for Mike White after a good run at Louisiana Tech. And led the Gators to the Elite 8 last year.
Let's see what Florida can get out of this timeout. You know it's going to be a set play action. Kentucky switching screens and exchanges 1 through 4.
Hudson gets by Washington. And Hayes fouled on the rebound.
Another example where Kentucky on this occasion goes for the block shot. That opened up the offensive glass for Kavarius Hayes, who's been active on the offensive glass, and seems like every rebound that Hayes has had an opportunity to grab, he's gone after it with both hands.
And he's got a big job for the Gators because they're so thin up front. We mentioned due to injuries, including John Egbunu out with a torn ACL that he suffered last February. The Gators tell us he's been cleared for non-contact basketball activities. What would it mean to Florida to get Egbunu back at some point in the next few weeks?
Well, it gives you an anchor inside, a rim protector, and a guy that can guard the post and can score with some simple post moves down low. So it would be a huge factor. A guy that's got high-level experience. But I'm not sure that John Egbunu is going to return 100%. That would be surprising if he comes back and he's able to contribute at the same level he did last season.
They were hoping to have Gorjak Gak back tonight, but due to concussion protocol, he is still out. Also been bothered by a bad knee, which limits his minutes, but they are small and thin up front, but thus far, they have the lead here on Kentucky.
How many turnovers did Kentucky have in the second half? Like 6 or 7? They're just coughing this ball up left and right.
And Florida hasn't turned it over in the second half.
And when you turn the ball over for Kentucky, of course they don't get a shot, but they don't get a chance for an offensive rebound.
Green in transition.
Got away with a couple of walks there. Very fortunate.
Kalia Jones passed up one shot and now gets called for the offensive foul.
Boy, great job by Kavarius Hayes. And I know that Sasha Kalia Jones thought that he should drive it there, but it just wasn't there. That's too long of a drive for him to make. You know, if you can't rip and go, if you're a big guy and you got to make a ball fake one way in order to set up a drive, it's not a good idea.
And he goes to the bench with his third. Richards back in, Knox back in, and Gilgeous-Alexander back in for Kentucky. Knox scored 4 points inside the first 2 minutes of the game and hasn't scored since.
So that's what, 7 turnovers now? And so seven turnovers second half. And that's what, double digits, 14 for the game. And Florida's only got 4.
Kentucky also has not hit a 3 yet in this game. They are 0 for 8. They only made 1 at South Carolina Tuesday. They currently have the longest streak in the nation, 1,031 games in a row. That's much more the Kentucky playbook right there. Richards couldn't finish, but he was fouled. But tonight, they have yet to hit a 3. So in their last 2 games, Jay, they've made 1 3. Knox made it at South Carolina on Tuesday. 4th foul committed by Keith Stone. And that's a loss for the Gators. So Mike White's got to go small again. After us, this great day and night of college basketball continues. We'll take you west. Bill Walton, UCLA at Oregon. As Dave Pasch will bring you that game from the Conference of Champions. You impersonated out from the first half?
Oh, do you want me? I can give you some more.
Midway point of the second half here at Rupp Arena with Jay Billis, Maria Taylor. I'm Dan Schulman. Saturday primetime presented by AT&T from Lexington in a 2-point lead for Florida in a battle of 2 of the heavyweights in the SEC.
Just isolating P.J. Washington. That's another great find. Chioza is hurt again.
Yeah, he is. He's grimacing and hobbling. Hudson on the drive. I think that's off his leg, and it is out of bounds. And Mike White is going to Chioza and saying, can you stay in the game? And he's going to have to come out.
Yeah, you could tell that Mike White, as soon as he saw that P.J. Washington was guarding Chris Chioza, tried to isolate him. Good job by Kevin Knox to knock that out of bounds. But as soon as he blew by him and found Hudson in the opposite corner, you could see he was just going back to that calf again, getting worked on over on the sideline. That is a huge factor in this game. If he can't play, the effectiveness for Florida goes way, way down.
And he's about the last guy in the country who wants to be taken out of the game for any reason at all. But for the second time tonight, he has to go to the bench because of a cramp.
Most valuable guard in the SEC.
So a big job for Mike Okaru, the freshman from Raleigh. He's in guarding Gilgeous-Alexander and fouls him. Gilgeous-Alexander will head to the free throw line in the act of shooting.
Kentucky continuing to attack the basket the last couple of possessions and get You know, this is a big factor. If you can get to the free throw line in this game, which Kentucky has not done throughout the course of the game, you know, that can be the difference. You know, I know that they got that 3-point streak. I don't think anybody cares about that as much as they care about getting the win.
Right.
But the free throw line, that 3-point line has not been kind to him, but the free throw line can be.
Gilgeous-Alexander originally committed to Florida. The youngster from Hamilton, Ontario. Then kind of freely admits, he said, you know what, I kind of got better and my options changed. I had other schools that were suddenly interested in me, so he withdrew his commitment to Florida and decided to come to Kentucky.
I thought he was from Canada.
Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Boy, they're a little sensitive.
This is news. And they're still working on Chiozza over there. As Jay said, boy, I mean, they get a lot of good players, but he's their most important player. And if he is unable to go, it's going to be awfully tough for them to win this game. Whoa. Knox with a high degree of difficulty there.
First bucket in forever for Kevin Knox.
The first 2 field goals of Kentucky's night belong to Knox, and that's his first one since.
Now you can see Florida really trying to spread the floor and get driving and cutting lanes.
And Hudson will get it to go and draw the foul.
Well, I like that change by Mike White, lifting everybody up, 2-guard front, passing it, then cutting off the elbow screens. They got an easy layup for Kayvon Allen, then a wide open drive, a straight line drive for Jalen Hudson.
And the lead grows for the Gators, but maybe the concern grows as well. Chiozza off the bench, not all the way back to the locker room, but kind of under the stairwell in the corner as they continue to work on him, trying to stretch out that leg. 4-point lead, Florida. Diallo, corner 3. Got it! And it's a 1-point game, the first 3 of the night for the Wildcats.
Well, for Florida, staying home and protecting the paint, you can live with a 3.
Allen, short on his 3.
What kind of shot is that? That's the kind of shot that loses you games on the road.
Vanderbilt going a little bit too fast, but a great effort to save the ball. But Kulichov comes up with a steal, and Gilgeous-Alexander with a hustle play to poke it out of bounds. They're working on Florida's best player, and the Gators lead by 1 on the road.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T.
Lots on the line and a lot of emotion here at Rupp Arena tonight. Again, it hasn't been pretty at times, but both teams are scrapping. Florida with a 1-point lead on Kentucky in spite of some cramping issues for their best player, Chris Chiozza. What's on the line? Well, the standings of the SEC. Auburn won, Alabama is winning, and Florida and Kentucky right in the mix as well.
You know, Dan, really the difference in this game and the difference in, you know, Florida being at the top of the league and Kentucky trying to get up toward the top of the league has been turnovers. I mean, Kentucky's coughed the ball up 15 times in this game, and they all haven't been what I would call forced errors. And Florida, only 5 turnovers.
Off the inbounds, Hudson can't connect. What a rebound by Hayes. Boy, that's going to drive John Calipari nuts.
Got outfought for that ball. Another great job by Hayes going after it with 2 hands.
Now a tough, long 2 by Hudson comes up empty.
Yeah, the degree of difficulty for some of the shots by Florida has been really high. But as long as they keep taking care of the ball and getting shot attempts.
Knocks in the post. Jump hook short. Richards the follow. And heading to the free throw line.
Well, I don't know why Stone decided he wanted to try to block that shot. Or maybe it was Hayes, but when after that block shot, when there was very little opportunity to get it, and all it did was open up the offensive glass for Richards. And Hayes has done that at least 3 times. where the chance of getting the block shot was pretty slim from the weak side. And what it did was open up the weak side offensive glass. And it was Hayes going over for it, and that's what opened up the glass for Nick Richards. If he turns and blocks out,
one of two in a tie game. And Chiozza back at the scorer's table.
Well, this has been a grinder. An absolute grinder.
Allen at the point in the absence of Chiozza right now.
This is what we used to call back in the day a rock fight.
Kulachov with the shot clock down to 6. Hayes again comes up with a loose ball, kicks it out and turns it over. Gilgeous-Alexander gives Kentucky the lead. Step back by Allen, too strong. But another offensive rebound for the Gators. And Florida, which is such a good three-point shooting team, Jay, they're 5 for 27 tonight.
Well, Florida, before that last possession, only had 5 turnovers. And after Stone had the ball inside, he would have been better off just eating that. Taking the turnover by making Kentucky take the ball out of bounds because of the shot clock violation. Instead, he throws it away. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander takes it to the other end for the easy basket.
Whoa! The elevation by Hayes on the inbounds from Chiozza.
Florida has absolutely cut up Kentucky on out of bounds underneath. That same alignment. They're just getting a couple of different lob looks. And Kentucky breaking down defensively.
Zoned by the Gators, and Gilgeous-Alexander buries a 3. And he's trying to fire up his teammates for a defensive stop. Very deliberate pace in the front court here for the Gators. Chiozza left alone. And Florida now 5 for 28 from three-point range.
Now watch the execution here. The little screen for the lob. No communication for Kentucky to protect the basket first. You always have to protect the basket first and build out. And out of bounds underneath, Florida has done a really good job of executing and getting what they want. And Kentucky has, that's one of the few areas where Kentucky's done a really poor job defensively. Here we go again with the same alignment, out of bounds underneath. Kayvon Allen taking it out.
And getting it back, and driving, and missing the left-handed layup.
Well, he can't get anything to go. 28 points against Arkansas, a nightmare in this one.
Kentucky turnover. The postseason NFL Countdown crew will get you ready for Championship Sunday tomorrow at noon with extensive previews of both games, injury updates, and predictions after the second game, a special NFL primetime. Boomer, TJ, and Keyshawn at 10 o'clock Eastern Time.
You know what's going to happen with Tom Brady?
He's going to play?
We'll see.
Way to get out on a limb. 3-point game. And Stone headed to the free throw line.
Well, Kentucky allowing a driving line to Stone. Just a straight line drive instead of just staying in front and angling out that drive.
Stone's been limited by foul trouble tonight. Made a couple of early threes for the Gators.
Overall, he's played well. A couple of steals.
Hudson returns for Florida. Richards and Green return for Kentucky.
And Florida, the better free throw shooting team. Tavares Hayes has missed a few in this one, but you know, down the stretch, the Florida guards hit a really high percentage from the free throw line.
You just wonder if they're going to have to make some threes to win. They've missed their last 10. And we mentioned they're the best three-point shooting team in the SEC, but Kentucky the best at defending the three in the SEC. And right now Kentucky's winning that battle.
Right now it's just about getting a good shot, and Florida's had some difficulty in doing that. I think the quality of shot the Gators have settled for in this game has been really poor overall.
A chance for the lead for Florida and a 3-on-1. Kulachov pulls up for a three on the break, and they come up empty.
See, I think you got to, even though Florida's a three-point shooting team, I think you got to get that ball to the rim. 3-on-1 in a game like this, get that ball to the rim.
Knox steps back, too strong. And we go under 4 minutes with Florida again looking to reclaim the lead.
Not sure I get that shot.
Stone way off to the right, but it will belong to the Gators when we come back. As Jay said, it's a rock fight, here but rough, between Florida and Kentucky. A 1-point lead for the Wildcats as we head down the stretch.
Everybody settle down now, settle down.
We've got a 1-point game in Rupp Arena, Kentucky on top of the Gators, but the latest development that we've had, my broadcast partners Dan Schulman and Jay Billis are eating ice cream at the table, and last I checked, Billis does not eat sugar, so I don't know what's going to happen over the next 5 minutes.
You're going to turn into a gnome or a pumpkin or something? You going to be all right?
I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention. I'm eating ice cream.
I got a little. Is this expensive? This has become. You started it with Shambi at a game you did here in December. I can't remember who it was against. You did a game here
Harvard.
Against Harvard, and they brought you out ice cream, and you made such. You were so elated. You had such youthful exuberance about you when they got the ice cream. It's now become a thing.
Look, Dan, when soft serve ice cream at Rupp Arena is brought to you and placed at your feet, this is the greatest venue for sports in the world.
That's true.
Not just America, the world. And until venues across America also bring ice cream to the broadcast position, Rupp Arena will be the 8th wonder of the world.
Absolutely shameless, but well done. Well played. We don't look the ice cream gift horse in the mouth here at Rupp Arena. 1-point game. Kentucky up on Florida, less than 4 to go. And a timeout taken by Chiozza with 3:45 to go. Still to come tonight. We head west to the Pac-12. It'll be UCLA and Oregon coming up after this game tonight to round out what's been a very entertaining day and evening in college basketball.
Of course, Dave. Ice cream was invented in Oregon. The Conference of Champions has the best ice cream.
Well, let me have a go at it. You do some analyzing. Chris Chiozza battling cramps tonight, but when he's been in there, he's made Florida go.
Well, Chris Chiozza has been the most important player on the floor for either team tonight. Battling through the cramping issue. When he has the ball in his hands, he makes good decisions, finds open people. Look, this has not been pretty as far as making shots has been concerned. But Chris Chiozza, if you had to have an MVP for either team, I think he'd be the MVP. 8 assists, 10 points, only 1 turnover in 30 minutes of play, including 5 defensive rebounds.
7 seconds on the shot clock for the Gators. 3 by Chiozza. Rattles in. High arcing 3 to give the Gators the lead.
And that was a difficult shot with a hand in his face. That was well defended. And right on cue, calling him the MVP for Florida. I think he is deserving of some soft serve ice cream.
Washington, power move inside. And again, you wonder whether it's him or others, why you don't see a little bit more of that from Kentucky to exploit the size advantage they have at certain spots.
Well, that's just a question of youth and the discipline that you need in order to go to your strengths.
Stone looking for help. Now gets into the paint. No look pass Hayes. And a chance for a three-point play.
Yeah, Kentucky just a little bit late in rotating and being aware and getting where they need to be. And instead of, you have to keep, that, and that was a freshman mistake by P.J. Washington, not keeping Keith Stone out of the lane, keeping him out of the middle. Well, that was a big bucket by Hayes.
Does not get the bounce on the free throw, so it remains a 2-point lead for the Gators. Who's the go-to guy at the offensive end here for Kentucky? Do they have that kind of a guy with all of these young players?
Well, they're going to let Shai Gilgeous-Alexander work off the ball screen. What a play.
Hayes with a terrific block.
Not only, Dan, to stop the penetration, but not to foul, go off 2 feet and block that with the left hand. That was a big-time defensive play by Kavarius Hayes.
Chioza swatting at the arm of Gilgeous-Alexander, looking for a little more space. Stone drives again. And his ability to shoot the ball and using the shot fake is allowing him to get to the rim.
Well, the problem is for Kentucky, they're going for these ball fakes. You know, a little ball fake, and all of a sudden you get a straight line drive right down the middle of the lane. And John Calipari not happy with his team. And that's an execution issue, how to execute your defense. Keep guys out of the middle. That's just a simple ball fake. He lifts his eyebrows up, and the defense is off balance.
How good has Kentucky been at home under John Calipari? Well, against unranked opponents under Coach Cal, 128-3, including 57 in a row. That is in jeopardy tonight. Coming up Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern here on ESPN. It's a Big 12 Sonic blockbuster. Trae Young, 48 points today in a loss to Oklahoma State, albeit again, as we mentioned, on 39 shots, but he made 8 threes, just carried them offensively, especially in the second half. If you haven't seen him, you got a chance to see him Tuesday against the leaders of the Big 12, the Kansas Jayhawks. The game, of course, also streaming live on the ESPN app.
I know that a lot of us have been critical of Trae Young and those 39 shots and some of the quality of those shots, but you know, let's all be honest. If our coach let us take 39 shots, we'd all do it.
Yes. your coach did not let you take anywhere near 39 shots.
If I took 39 shots in a month, he was upset.
4-point lead, Florida, Kentucky ball. Washington just beyond the elbow.
Trying to post Shai Gilgeous-Alexander against Chioza.
Can't get him the ball. Gabriel for 3. Off the back of the iron, and it's Florida ball.
Pretty good block out there by Jalen Hudson against Kevin Knox. And right now it's just about using this clock.
Kentucky's winning the rebounding battle, but boy, it seems like at key moments, Florida's come up with a big rebound.
And a lot of times it's because Kentucky settled for jump shots and the longer rebounds have gone to Florida. But right now, 1-4 low, and here comes the run-out ball screen.
Chioza looks off the defender, and Stone has it stripped away. 1 minute to go.
Got to get to the rim here.
Instead, it's a corner 3 off the side of the backboard by Quade Green, and the ball goes back over to the Gators.
Yeah, just a poor decision by Quade Green. And here is where having good free throw shooters is a huge asset for Florida down the stretch. Because if you can keep the ball in the hands of Kayvon Allen and Chris Chioza and Igor Kulichov, you've got the opportunity to have your best free throw shooters go into the line.
Well, you just named 3 of the top 4 free throw shooters in the SEC.
And I did that on purpose.
And one of them, with the ball in his hands, will go to the line right now. Kulichov, Allen, and Chioza, all at 89% or better on the season. Gabriel back in, and Richards out. Gabriel can shoot the 3, although he hasn't shot it well in the last few games, but he is a threat from beyond the arc. Allen just 4 for 16 from the field tonight. But boy, if he knocks down a couple of free throws here, that'll make him feel quite a bit better.
We've got a game, Bill.
Meanwhile, Dave Pasch, Bill Walton getting ready to go out in Eugene.
Well, Bill Walton with his charts. He has a gigantic bucket of kale.
Hey, we should all love life like he does, right? Diallo. And a foul going against Hayes. That is just the 6th team foul on Florida, so Kentucky not at the line yet.
Well, Kentucky does not have to have a three. I mean, three-point shooting has been, to put it mildly, a titanic struggle in this game for Kentucky. Get to the rim, give yourself an opportunity to get fouled. And then if you can kick it out to an open three-point shooter, that's a different deal.
Not sure what the conversation is about. They're not at the line yet. They reset the shot clock to 30. Kentucky ball. 39.4 to go. They don't have a lot of time to play with here. Knox for three. Banks it in. What a break for Kentucky. They're back within 3. And a timeout taken by Chiozza. Florida's final timeout as they were unable to get the ball in.
Sometimes when it's not going well, and it has not gone well from deep for Kentucky. You know, Kevin Knox with Kayvon Allen right in his grill there. I know he didn't call bank, but nobody cares about that. All they care is it's a one-possession game with 32.5 seconds to go in regulation.
So again, if you're Florida, you just got to get the ball into one of the 3 great free throw shooters. And how long does Kentucky let it play out, try to get a steal before they foul?
I think you try to get an initial trap. See if you can get Florida catching it, running toward the baseline to catch it. And then if you can get them to catch it against the baseline in a corner, the coffin corner, get a quick trap. If you can get a turnover, I think you can take up to 10 seconds here and try to get a trap, a turnover. Then you can always foul. But the best case scenario is get the ball into the hands of they'll probably have Hayes out. I don't know if Hayes will still be in the ball game. But even Jalen Hudson is not one of their better free throw shooters. He shoots about 71% if I remember right. So if you can get it into their hands and keep it out of the hands of like Chiozza, Allen, Kulichov, you've got a better opportunity. But I say get a trap, use your length, and try to get a steal.
Maria Taylor's near the Kentucky huddle. Maria?
Well, you must have been reading Coach Cal's mind, Jay, because he just said he wants to get one trap. If they don't get it there, then they're definitely going to go straight into foul.
32.5 to go. 3-point lead, Gators. And a lot of great free throw shooters in orange.
The key right now is to set a good screen and to come to the ball and run it right into your hands.
Nobody on the ball for the Wildcats.
Now remember, Kentucky's got the possession arrow, so a tie-up is a turnover.
Hudson right back to Chiozza, but they foul Hudson before he gets rid of the ball, and that'll send a 71% free throw shooter to the line instead of a guy in the 80s or 90s.
Well, that was a smart foul by Hamidou Diallo. There was no opportunity to get a trap, so preserve the amount of time you can and send the free throw shooter you choose to the line. And that, you know, there are not a lot of great choices, but that's one of the better ones you could have made.
1-1 for Hudson. Florida comes in having won 7 of their last 8. They're 5-1 in SEC play. They're up by 4 right now with 31.9 to go. UCLA and Oregon coming up after this one. Tip-off just a few minutes away. Also streaming on the ESPN app.
Kentucky needs to get this ball to the rim. Looks like a zone look.
It'll be Gabriel with a corner 3, and it makes it a 2-point game.
Boy, the penetration is what made that.
So how about a couple of late threes for Kentucky to give them a fighting chance tonight?
Boy, terrific penetration into the lane. That drew Igor Kulichov to the ball. Jalen Hudson has to run at the shooter off of the really good screen by Jared Vanderbilt. And that left Wenyen Gabriel wide open on the flare action. That was really beautifully done by Kentucky. And now all of a sudden, that's why you want to preserve time. extend the game. Give yourself an opportunity to make a play and then put some real game pressure on the Florida Gators right now. Chris Chiozza's never won in this building. No Gator in that huddle's ever won in this building. Make them think about it.
Both teams are now out of timeouts. We got 26.2 seconds to go. At least 26.2 seconds to go.
I told you it was kale. That's how you forage for kale.
Hey, he'd last a lot longer on Survivor than either one of us would.
You want to bet?
The youthful Kentucky Wildcats, who have not lost at home this season, but they are trailing Florida by 2 with 26 seconds to go. Another report from Maria.
Coach Cal giving late situation advice to his team. Remember, there's no timeout, guys. If we tie it up, we get the ball back. And same thing, one trap and then foul.
And Florida may want to look long on this. Get some action going toward the ball and then break somebody long.
High risk, high reward.
Well, Chiozza's a baseball player. He's a shortstop. It's not necessarily risk as much as it is. That may be what could be open.
Kulichov, Chiozza.
There it
they
is.
Go over the top. Stone, and he is fouled. So Stone will head to the line. But again, if you're Kentucky, okay, a few seconds came off. But again, they've got a 71% free throw shooter on the line.
Well, they got the trap that they wanted. They were able to trap Kulichov along the baseline. He got it to Chiozza, and then here's the pass. Watch this pass by Chiozza. That's a gutsy pass to make, and the right pass.
Missed the front end. No timeouts for Kentucky with the ball down by 2. Green, the drive. Rejected by Kulichov, but it stays with the Wildcats.
Kentucky has got plays where they can lob it out of bounds under.
Sub coming in for Florida, a little more size. Kavarius Hayes for Kulichov. 6.2 seconds to go.
Want to watch Vanderbilt and Washington to the rim.
Washington back to Gilgeous-Alexander. Back to Washington. Blocked out of bounds. No foul. Still Kentucky ball.
It looked like there was contact on his arm because the defense was behind him as he went up. Yeah, that's a foul. How that didn't get called, you never know. How could you not call that? That's a shooter.
One last chance here now for the Wildcats. 2.5 to go. Knocked away, and the Gators are going to get out of Lexington with a victory.
Well, the Texas A&M game ended with what appeared to be a foul on Wenyen Gabriel. This game ends with what appeared to be a foul on Jalen Hudson. And Chris Chiozza is going to leave Rupp Arena with his first win in this building.
The Florida Gators alone on top the standings of the SEC now at 6-1 as they win this struggle here in Lexington by a score of 66-64. Deflecting the inbounds pass, Chiozza just lobbing it into the front court, and that's a big win on the road for the Gators, who may find themselves back in the rankings when they come out on Monday. The final score from Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, the Florida Gators 66 and the Kentucky Wildcats 64. Look at the joy on the faces of the visitors after this big win here tonight. For Jay Billis, Maria Taylor, and our crew, I'm Dan Shulman saying thanks for watching from Rupp Arena. Coming up next, UCLA and Oregon. Let's send it to Eugene, Dave Pasch, and Bill Walton.
The harmonic convergence.